Gavin, good to see you.
You too, Jesse. Great to see you.
Let's get right into it. You have been in the sales profession for 20 plus years. You've worked in multiple parts of the world. You've hired a ton of salespeople. Tell me, Gavin, what are the top 1 to 2 things you look for when you're hiring a salesperson?
So, and recently I've done a lot of this over the course of WebEx, which has been very interesting. It's a very different dynamic that you have when hiring. But I think 2 things that still remain constant, whether you're face-to-face in an interview or whether you're doing that in person, for me is 1, be concise with your answers, right? Mm-hmm. Salespeople, and myself included, tend to ramble on and on and on. But when you can have a very concise answer, it is thoughtful. You take the time to think about that answer. Pausing is always good, even in a sales process. And complete your answer and then sweep at the end. Did I answer that question correctly? Or is there anything else that you might have to follow up my answer? Mm-hmm. Something to that effect, because it's engaging me as the interviewer and also just shows that they're listening. Mm-hmm. And the second one, because I'm interviewing for salespeople, is if you're not closing me in that interview process, you're just showing me that you're not going to be able to do that when you're actually selling for me. Mm-hmm. And by that, it is a process all along the way, right? When you think about the sales process, when we're selling any product, you are always moving towards that close by engaging, by getting that interest, by getting that commitment along the way. But at the end, there really should be a close, understanding what is in the next steps, giving you the opportunity to sell yourself a little bit more if we've missed some of those key areas that you really want to highlight to me as a person being interviewed. So those 2 things, again, leans towards the sales process and really what I would expect from a salesperson when they're doing the role. So I'd want them to do that in the interview.
Yeah, no, it's helpful. Now, you've also been a buyer. You've also bought things or been part of a buying committee, as part of your, at your own company. When you've been sold to before, what are some of the characteristics or traits that you've observed of really good salespeople?
That's a good question. And I think in today's day and age, that is getting harder and harder to do.
Yeah.
And it's really that point of difference, right? That just really creating yourself as not somebody that's just cold calling, that is just trying to flog a product. Recently, and I just mean within the last year, I had somebody approaching me for software in my current role to sell, to make the team more efficient. And it was a consistent approach on email to really get me on the phone. But then one really quoted a press release from the CEO of my company and put a quote from that press release into the context of how it would impact me in a job. And it was short, it was sweet, it was concise, and it was asking me a question to follow up. And, it was a perfect example of something that's going to catch my attention. I don't want something long and drawn out. I want to be able to read it on my phone, but I want it to be thought-provoking. And I want it to really resemble some element of, this person could be a trusted advisor. This person is an outside of the box thinker, and this person actually understands me already. It's not just flogging me a product and has no idea what I do. So I definitely think having that point of difference, doing the research, and figuring out a way that you can appeal to me as a buyer, specific to me, is absolutely crucial if you are going to be selling something in a B2B environment, for sure.
Sure. Well, as becoming custom with the video interview series for the Carry That Quota newsletter, our last question is a little bit more of a, can you give us a prediction? Can you give some advice, or do you have any guidance for salespeople and what the future may hold, especially now that a lot of us are selling virtually behind a screen? Give us some thoughts, some guidance. What's the future going to be for salespeople out there?
It's we're all having this conversation lately that things things are going to be this way for quite some time. And,
Yeah.
you know, we have to be able to use really everything that is in your toolbox and in your repertoire and think differently about those approaches in order to get that customer to speak to you, right? As a salesperson that is old school, I've always relied on the face-to-face contact and that body contact, you know, the body language that you can use with a customer, seeing all those facial cues. And if you're not doing it on video, you're already shooting yourself in the foot. But
Yeah.
you know, starting behind that, it is about really the approach, right? I mentioned this before. What got my attention? How can you come across as a trusted advisor? People, salespeople in general, I think really need to do more research about their prospects and about the company that they're selling to. It takes a little bit more time. It takes a little bit more effort, but it will produce more results from a salesperson if you are creating that point of difference. Yep. Again, relationships are always going to be key when it comes to sales, and people need to trust. And it is harder to trust somebody when you're only meeting them digitally or you're only meeting them over the phone. So if those are the angles that you have to go down, and that's going to continue for you, and there isn't a video chat, again, what can you do about creating that point of difference? And also be resilient and consistent with that approach. You know, too many people, it was very easy in gravy train days for any company. If deals were coming through, they could give up and move on to the next one. Now, when you find and you know that there's going to be an opportunity, you really need to be consistent, be resilient, continue on, and, you know, make sure that you're developing that relationship and giving them something without constantly trying to sell to them. You know, if people are getting something, people are getting value, fantastic. They will trust, and then you'll open that relationship.
Yeah, no, it's a great answer, and appreciate you joining us on the interview, and hope you have a good rest of the day, and we'll catch up soon.
Thanks, Jesse. Great to chat.
Take care.